Hey guys, welcome back to the Independent Investor Channel, coming to you from the Big Apple, New York City. My name is Ryan, so good to be with you again. On this particular episode, this is going to be investing tip number 4. This is going to be part of my Bullseye series, where I can push out just a couple bulletized points to help you guys in your investment future, guys. So let's get started. All right, today we're going to be talking about barriers to start investing. You know, when I talk to people all the time, you know, they want to invest, they have a general interest in investing and securing their future, but all too often life kind of gets in the way. And I've just kind of highlighted some of the points that I find are the most common themes in talking to people and what some of those barriers kind of actually look like, and some things to kind of combat and overcome some of those barriers that I hear that are the most common amongst people. The first one is, you know, procrastination, right? We've all suffered from this, you know, putting off what we can do, you know, today until tomorrow. And, you know, unfortunately, when we're talking about investing, when is the right time to invest? All right. I always advocate that the right time to invest is as early as possible in life. Unfortunately, that's usually when we have the most going on. It's usually the absolute worst time to actually invest because we're about as least informed. We've got about as little life experience as we can possibly have. And we're really trying to change our life for the better in a dynamic way, right? We've got college education going on. You know, we may be starting a family. We may be starting that career, right? And it's usually the worst time to start. But, you know, one way of thinking about procrastination, as busy as you guys are, the easiest thing that you can possibly do is start your account, okay? And starting your account, you can do with no money, okay? Starting the account, it's amazing how often you can kind of bridge that gap between becoming or being a non-investor to becoming investor by just taking that very first step and starting that account, okay? Now, with the market at all-time record highs right now, starting that account doesn't necessarily mean that you need to jump in and invest tomorrow. You can start that account. You can even set yourself up on an allocated, you know, monthly contribution to that account and not actually invest. But I think to get over the procrastination, you know, and the, you know, always putting things in way of investing, I think for you young folks out there, you know, the best thing that you can possibly do is start that account. And again, on the Independent Investor Channel, we advocate really, really highly for the very best account that you can get into as a beginning passive investor, you know, for future wealth protection, and that's the self-managed Roth IRA account. The second thing that I want to talk about is the knowledge or the perceived lack of knowledge that people have, guys. And I tell you what, I'm almost 40 years old, and it just amazes me how smart this new generation coming up is. I mean, just brilliant, guys. You guys get things that even my generation just really, you know, kind of is getting used to, you know, with regard to social media, you know, with regard to some of the Microsoft platforms that you guys use. I mean, I go to work every day and I'm just amazed, you know, at the level of competence that you guys have. And so I think, you know, a lack of knowledge as a barrier, I think you need to kind of give yourself a chance there, and you're never really going to understand everything about the stock market. And again, by just starting that account, getting it going, and taking a little bit out of your time to take a few minutes to take a financial piece, you know, and kind of learn some of the basics about investing, or to identify what it is, you know, your strategy is going to be, whether or not you could just start an asset that doesn't require a lot of attention starting, you know, maybe a good ETF product, right? You get started in that account and kind of get some years under your belt of investing and becoming, you know, going from a non-investor to an actual investor. All right. So, you know, that's kind of a personal barrier that we have. But, you know, with the availability of information that we have online now, guys, there's so many different places that you can look to get, you know, wonderful stock analysis. I'm not an analyst, okay? I'm just a self-directed investor, right? But I use a lot of different resources to provide me the informed information I need to be a more informed investor and to increase my knowledge. And, you know, what I will say is that you will never know it all, okay? You're always evolving as an investor, all right? Nobody Nobody knows it all, right? So you're just trying to take these pieces of information to deploy in your own investment futures, okay? The last thing I want to talk about is validation, okay? And a lot of the tools that I come out with on the Independent Investor channel should help you with some of those validations as to the cost of not investing compared to the cost of actually investing, okay? And what it can mean for you in the long term. And if you're looking at a 40, 50-year horizon, guys, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of differences just on the compounding interest side to help you look at what it will mean to accelerate your money going forward, right? And then to also look at the potential for tax elimination within the right account and also wealth preservation going forward. If we can eliminate the fees and we can eliminate the tax and we can put you in those vehicles to help accelerate your growth going forward, guys, the sky's the limit, and that really should be all the validation you need to not sleep easy and be excited about getting in there and starting your account the very next day, okay? Security, and everybody has their own personal validation. With me, it's for family. It's not about me. I don't invest for income, okay? I invest for the sake of investing and securing my financial future. That's just why I do it, okay? I know someday that I'll benefit, and now at 40 years old, in retrospect, looking back over my investment life and my investment career, as many of the mistakes as I've made in my investment career, I've had a lot of successes on the line, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, okay? So the decision to invest, right, now that I reflect back on those decisions to start investing, really start to, prove their validation kind of the older that you get, okay? And the last thing, for me, personal validation. A lot of when we start, we don't have all the answers as to why we invest or why we start investing. And, when I talk about me in retrospect, looking back, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now if I hadn't made that initial scary decision to start investing. And I've amassed a fortune of over $250,000, on a very median income. I'm less than middle income. And based on my strategic deployment of my self-managed program, I've been able to amass a pretty good fortune. So, my own personal validation for investing, it's been proven to me over and over again, and that validation just gets stronger with time, okay? Guys, listen, I hope you've enjoyed this quick bullseye video, investing tip number 4. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would encourage you to do so. Subscribe so you're notified about any future videos that I come out with. Share the link with anybody out there that you think would benefit from the information. Our goal on this particular channel is to empower one investor at a time. And, please hit the thumbs up button. And if there are topics that you'd like me to cover on the Independent Investor channel, leave those comments down at the bottom as I do review those. And I will offer those as standalone topics for you guys in the future, because I'm just looking to help you guys and give you my perspective on investing to help you guys going forward. Guys, thank you again for tuning in, and good luck in your investment future.